I want to invite an amazing customer on stage. We've had a chance to had a prep session a short few weeks ago, and I must admit, what I learned from just chatting with the AMD team was absolutely phenomenal. And I really have been waiting for weeks to invite her back on stage. So please join me, give her an amazing round of applause. She's traveled all the way from Austin, Texas, to be with us. Thank you. Okay, Carrie, she is from AMD, based in Austin, Texas. Oh, you got all the answers there too. You got to paint this picture of AMD. Share price popped by 35%, I think, in one day. Can you imagine the number of questions to a HR help desk about your benefits and your shares? We might get into that a little bit, but I would consider you like a people warrior. There's 28,000 people plus at AMD, excluding the entire supply chain, which probably takes you into maybe the millions, but we don't need to validate the number here. What was the original business problem? How did you think about getting on your AI journey? You sat there one day and you said, we're going to solve this with AI. Was it that simple? Or what was the process you actually went through?
It's never that simple.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think a couple of things. So AI is a huge part of our business at AMD's. So it's very important that we lead by example in how we run our business. Two, we are a growing organization, and I lead our HR service center team called the Ask HR team. So the team that gets all of the employees' questions globally. And so as we're growing as a business, I'm always thinking, how am I going to scale? How am I going to keep offering a level of service that our employees are expecting while the company grows? Another top of mind item for me is I am a lean Six Sigma black belt. And so I'm always, waste just kind of jumps out and slaps me across the face, whether I want it to or not. And so I was very cognizant of my team, which is full of very, very smart individuals, was spending a lot of time answering items that are on our HR portal. So copying and pasting answers, and that's called underutilization of resources in terms of lean terms. And so what I realize is if my team is able to close the request, the answer is there. And so really we've got a findability problem. And then lastly, I'm all about transforming. So I run the business, but running the business is just by default for me. I'm always looking for how can I transform and make things better. And so what I really wanted to do was offer more to our employees than what they're getting today. And so that's how I ended with taking all of that into consideration, really just leveraging AI to transform the employee experience and be able to take the savings from that to be able to offer live touch points, which is really what our employees want, and also helps our HR business partners more strategize for this growing business that we have.
That's got it. We finished the last session from our friends at Forrester with a slide on change.
Yeah.
And you actually had a wonderful comment. And I'm going to repeat it here when we did the prep session. You spoke about meeting people where they are.
Yep.
And that was really the place where you started. Now, we get to listen to lots of people, BCG, McKinsey, and they're all about scarcity. Take something away from people if you're going to transform your business.
Mm.
You went down a very different route. I'd love for you to share that.
Yeah. So I think employee support or just in general customer service hasn't changed much since the early 2000s. Internally, you have an employee go to your HR portal. You traverse an HR taxonomy that you may or may not understand that was designed by experts for experts, not for the consumer. You try to find what you're looking for. We've got thousands and thousands of documents within our HR portal. If you can't find what you're looking for, then you go to the ServiceNow, the Salesforces of the world, You traverse the structure there. You see some knowledge articles. That doesn't help you. Then you submit a question. That's really high employee effort. And if I look at AMD is hiring very, very smart engineers to do what they do best. And that's not trying to answer their HR questions through putting through that much effort. So what we decided to do is say, where are employees working every day? All of us are in Teams, Microsoft Teams. And so we decided to leverage the Kore.ai product and integrate it with Teams, not only from a question perspective, but also from an employee self-service and manager self-service perspective. So you can go into Teams and you can ask it a question, and it's going to come back within seconds and give you that answer. And you can also do actions. So I decided, I'm traveling from Austin to Dallas. I'm up here on stage, slightly nervous. So I deserve to take the day off tomorrow. So while I was in my car out there, I pulled out my phone, used my Teams app on my phone, and took a day off. I didn't have to know to go to the portal and find the link to our SuccessFactors system, go into SuccessFactors, navigate to find that transaction and take it there. I just did it literally within seconds from my phone. So that's kind of what I meant by meeting people where they are, where they're working. Next, so the phase 2 of our effort is actually email. Email is still the path of least resistance for employees. Email is still the number one way that cases are created. So 65% of our cases come in through email. But again, if my team can solve it, the content is there. So what we're doing now with the core team is working on intercepting the email and leveraging the same model that we built to be accessible through Teams and auto respond to those emails that are coming in as well. But then make it very easy for employees to say, no, I still need help, and go from there. Purpose of doing this is because our employees really want to be able to interact on those more crucial moments that matter with someone live in HR, and we don't offer that today. So by leveraging the Teams interface and now the email interception, I will be able to create enough capacity within my team to offer live chat for those more crucial moments that matter and those situations that really do truly require somebody with HR expertise and that human dot connecting and those human connections to bring through fruition.
That's good. Transformation takes place really at the point of friction.
Yeah.
You're letting go of something in the old and something new. Friction is what drives it. The other piece of transformation actually comes when you assume, as a leader, some personal risk.
Yeah.
Right? You're putting your credibility on the line. It's actually easy to do nothing in many companies.
That would be
Talk to me a little bit about I don't know if you've ever, maybe sometimes people use bad words when they talk to you in HR. What was your oh shit moment when you said, this is material, this is big? What caused you to lose sleep at night, if you lost any sleep?
Yes. So I have those moments often. In terms of how I sleep, wine is helpful.
Oh, good.
And
I actually, a few people have had it. They may be awake. Okay, they're still awake.
Yeah, nobody's sleeping in the back yet.
Okay,
so.
good.
And my children, unfortunately, leverage me as their non-AI assistant for all of their needs. So that also wears me out. So a combination of those things. But in general, I would say the hardest part in doing this project was realizing that I can't control everything. There is an infinite number of ways people can ask our AI agent a question, and I can't review 100%. And so I had to get comfortable being a bit uncomfortable. This is not if then else programming anymore. This is generative AI. This is AI. And so it really was setting up those guardrails. And also, there are a couple sayings that kind of lived rent free in my brain. One, and I'll say it wrong, but kind of summarizes on if you're not willing to take a risk on the unusual, then you're just going to have the ordinary. And that's not really what we set out to achieve, where I said I wanted to transform the employee support experience. So you have to assume some risk. You put in those guardrails. You partner very, very closely with your responsible AI communities, your information security teams, your legal team, and you put those areas in by which you're going to review how your bot is responding and governing and driving that continuous improvement through monitoring that.
So let's go a little deeper there. So you work in a company that being exact is really critical.
Yes.
You make things that are the size of a human hair, and then it looks like the human hair was put on Ozempic. What person, that was funny actually, wasn't it? It was good. What personal changes did you have to go through
Yeah.
and a company where exact triumphs over everything?
And in an industry where exact
Yes.
triumphs. So how we set up the project was we set very clear exit criteria on when we would move out of UAT into pilot and out of pilot into kind of full-blown rollout of our solution. And I didn't budge on that criteria, even when there was pressure based on dates. And so that criteria looked like the bot needs to answer 30% of what we're asking, but it doesn't need to be exact. It needs to be right, but not exact. Because I think we're used to a world where when you're testing something, you've got your requirement, your test case, your expected results, your pass fails. But with AI, you can ask it the same question multiple times and you're going to get a different answer. So that's what I mean about being right and not exact. But then the flip side of that acceptance criteria was really around if it was wrong, was it critically wrong? So we went live by saying it answered 30% of the questions that we asked it, and there were no critically wrong situations that would get us in trouble as an HR team in providing that response. And that's the level of risk that you have to assume. And then within the agent, we also had mentioned when you get a response, it's going to give you the Gen AI response, and it's going to also give you the sources that it used to provide that response. And we say, this is generated by AI. AI responses should always be validated with sources. And then on the back end, the capacity I've saved with my team, by having this agent, we now review all of the thumbs down responses, and we do random audits of where we got a thumbs up or where we got no feedback to see what we can learn there. Because at the end of the day, it's just like my human team, my human resources. I'm not reviewing 100% of their responses. I'm doing random audits of them as well.
Okay. Let me just check something here with the audience. I think you hit on something really, really important. There's a lot of articles out there. Sorry, new generation call it blogs. But articles out there which speaks about ROI. You actually spoke to a metric, which is 30%. Can I ask the audience here, how many of you have a metric tied to an AI experiment or an AI that you've deployed at scale? Just a quick show of hands, a metric. One. It would knock the core people. So that's really interesting. It's just a handful of hands tied to, I think, and we see that response across the board. Is people start wrapping themselves around what's the return on investment. I think the first step is pick a metric that matters,
Yeah.
pick a metric that you can get comfortable with, and then use that to guide you. And I know you have been really, really focused on stakeholder engagement. I know you've also had maybe some resistance to change. Tell me a little bit how you manage stakeholders. Because it's one thing to go for a few hundred friendlies in a room to thousands of people asking you questions that are maternity leave, paternity leave, vacation balance, policy. It's a different world. What did you learn from that? Or maybe what surprised you from that? And how did you manage some of the resistance along the way?
Yeah. So I think we formed an extended stakeholder team of every function within HR and had them be part of the testing. They also would categorize anything that they found in terms of severity. We did not go out and ask for sign off before we went live. We stuck to those criteria that I mentioned. Um, I would say there are always those stakeholders that tend to be more challenging in any project. So I'm going to tell a little bit of a funny story. We we worked with Core on the project, and in the beginning, I kept saying, "David, how can I get it to say this versus this?" And he would describe generative AI to me. And then the next day, he'd describe generative AI to me. And it became a funny part of our project where it's like, well, David's describing generative AI to Carrie again. Not because I didn't get it, but because it's hard to really wrap your mind around, the world that we're moving to. And so with this one particular stakeholder, as he was testing, he was like, Carrie, if you can't make it say exactly this, then I'm not going to give you the okay to go live. And I found myself explaining generative AI to him. So it's kind of one of those situations where you hear yourself becoming your parent.
Yeah.
But it really just took a lot of same messages across multiple groups over and over again. So from the beginning of the project, we said, this is a journey of imperfection. It's going to get things wrong. We're going to have challenges, and we're going to learn and pivot together. And that was with our HR stakeholders, that was with our employees, that was with our managers. And really with our employees, the more feedback you give us, the better you're going to help us make this product. So use it again, give us feedback, and we're going to continue to evolve. And we've really seen that work. I would say what's been most surprising to me in this project is I've received less resistance than I was expecting and more excitement than what I was expecting. So much so that we've joked around and needing to have like a press secretary to go to all of the different forums that people want us to speak about internally into the company. So we show up at all of our IT expos. We've got slides at all of our all hands. Even our CEO has it within like her walk-in slides. There's been so much excitement that it's hard to keep up with attending all of the places that we're being asked to come and speak about our journey. So I'm now looking towards how to leverage AI to help me manage the AI rollouts that we've done, with this project.
That's awesome. You had some top-down direction. You're a leader in the AI space. You design and make many of the chips that power the world. But you also give people freedom. Talk to me about how you balance the top-down and the freedom on the how and the what that people use the AI for.
Yeah. So I think in terms of our leaders gave us freedom. So leverage AI, scale your business. They didn't tell us how to do it. So we looked at what was coming into my team and what were those common things that we thought that we should go after. And, like we heard earlier, it's good to start with a scope that is controllable and less risky from a data security perspective. So we didn't do anything that included PII information and really kept to our scope. Our scope was large. We didn't just do questions. We did questions and transactions and creation of cases. But I felt we had the freedom to really figure out how are we going to leverage the technology and how are we going to scale. In terms of my team, again, I had them go out and pull those cases that they felt we needed to test as part of our rollout. So we had over 800 test cases, 800 permutations of how employees ask us questions. And that's what we used in our testing. And it was really on them to tell me when they, as the experts in providing employee support, felt that we were ready based on that exit criteria that we set. Now that we're live, my role is largely focused on what's next. And my team is fully owning, reviewing all the feedback that's coming in. We review every thumbs down, what the chat conversation was with that. We flag it as what was the root cause behind the thumbs down. And they then pull together what we need to do with that. And oftentimes what you find is the content, needed to be adjusted or the content was wrong. So that's been another interesting byproduct of this product is that even if you choose not to use the agent and you still want to go to the HR portal, by us having the agent, we are actually making the content better for everyone, no matter how you choose to consume it. So
That's good. Doing something at pilot, doing something at experiment, you kind of ragtag approach, pull people left, right, and center to make it work. What was the new organizational muscle that you would guide people here to think about building, or the capability that you have to build when you're at scale?
yeah.
What is that big thing that you would say, this is what I would have done a little earlier, or this is what we need to invest more in now that we have AI doing so much for us?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the slide that we saw earlier was really great about now with AI taking some of the doing, and you can reinvest your talents in doing other things. It creates new roles for you, and that's how I really pitched this to my team. So with my team being the service center members, in the beginning they were nervous, like, are you doing this? Is this going to take our roles? And my answer to that was, the ask is not to use this to replace members on our team. It's instead leveraging that talent to really elevate the employee experience. And so, in parallel with rolling out these tools, that means that I'm needing to upskill my team to do different things. And so they've become analysis or analyzers of what the bot is doing well. They've become working with our COEs on writing better content. They've become conversation designers. They become finding those insights of what we need to do next in the roadmap. So it's really, that slide was awesome. I took a picture of it because I think it greatly depicts where you move as an organization when AI takes some of the easier doing off the plate, so that you can be more creative and more, value add in what you can offer as an HR organization.
Running with thousands of employees, with thousands of questions, managing scale with the LLMs, how are you thinking about that?
Yeah. Yes, that's a good one. So I will say we are seeing thousands of questions going through our AI agent every week, and we've only got a 2% case creation rate from within the bot, which is amazing. So that
Wow.
means that it's working. However, that means there's a lot that's going through the bot. So now where I'm moving next is figuring out how can I use, partner AI tools, a co-pilot or a chat GPT to then help me understand where we're doing well and maybe where we need to invest in that. So really it's about how can I now use AI to help me understand how AI
Yeah.
is doing and where we need to focus.
Well, that's pretty awesome. You are very much focused on distributing information right now. The next step may be transactions, right? How do you actually do HR transactions? What would it take to let you take that leap?
Yes. So we are doing basic transactions. So employees self-serve and managers self-serve. So you
Okay.
can use the bot to, if you want to update your address or take a day off or see your vacation balances. One of the big drivers that we see in our thumbs down of things that it doesn't do yet is people just want more. So if I mentioned we started without PII information, we started with very basic information from our HR systems. Basically, if it exists in our system, they want it to be present in the agent. In addition, they're expecting to be able to leverage it more of like getting answers that you would get from going to like a Power BI reporting type of platform. So those are some of the areas that we're going next. And then that's all about kind of the pull, right? So employees coming to the agent and asking questions. The next big frontier for us is more in the push. So recently we've kicked off the AI for process that you heard about earlier. And as I'm sitting here, we're testing our first AI for process where we are going to be reaching out to managers to have them confirm when they've got a new hire start, whether they actually showed up that first day. Because there's a big pain point in HR where if we don't know that in time, then they'll get paid and then we've got to, claw back amounts or stock, gets kicked off. And so the sooner we know that, the faster we can make sure the downstream systems know about that type of situation. So we're doing our first AI for process that'll be going live here. And that's kind of where we'll be focusing next after live chat and the email interception, is looking at all of those siloed processes that you tend to have in HR, pulling everyone together in a, Kaizen, mapping things out, understanding the end-to-end process, and leveraging AI for process to help automate.
Awesome. 2 questions to wrap up. The greatest positive surprise that you have come across, and to anybody starting with AI, irrespective of which department, because I think the concepts and the way you've approached this are extendable far beyond the people teams. What would be the one piece of advice you'd give them? So surprise and advice.
Surprise. I would say, like I said, the amount of excitement versus, versus any of the naysayers. And the one example that I gave the person that told me, he wouldn't sign off unless I could get it to do this, he is actually out in front now saying, I love this thing. So, secondly, just seeing my team embrace it and quickly pick up and learn new skills and really move from handling cases and doing the motion to pushing for operational excellence and learning AI skills has been really fantastic to see. In terms of people embracing on this journey, I would say think about it as a program versus a project. Change management has got to be there from the beginning and continues. It is not a short-term role. You've got to get out there early and often to keep driving people to the change and how they're getting support today. You really need a high-performing team where you're leveraging everyone's expertise. So you need a strong, business process owner, needs SMEs that know whether the answers are correct, really strong IT partnership, really great partnership with legal and InfoSec, conversational designers. So really take the time to think about what is your dream team in making this happen. And then once you get it rolled out, that's just the beginning. Like I said, that's when the excitement happens. And so that's why I say think about it as a program. And then really the good way to get buy-in within your own function is if you make everyone be part of owning the outcome, at the highest of leadership levels, then you're going to be able to move faster as an organization. Lastly, I will say content is king. If you're using it for questions like what we did, spend a lot of time making sure your content is fresh. You take old dates out of documents. You understand the different permutations that make your answer be different, and you tag your content that way so that you can leverage the agent to provide that really relevant, personalized experience. And so we spent a lot of time kind of getting our content ready to go for the agent to sit on top of it. And I think that's why we were able to move as fast as we were, and we've seen the success that we have. So we started with a goal of a 30% thumbs up ratio, and out of the gate, we started at a 67%.
Wow.
So more than doubled our expectations in terms of what we saw it helping from an employee support perspective.
Awesome. Listen, thank you, Carrie, for taking the time. Thanks, everybody. I think we learned a lot here. Deeply appreciate you sharing this with us.
Thank you.